So are you as tall as the original guy?
Ben Franklin was 6 foot tall, believe it or not, and he was 240 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm pounds.
So you look like him. So tell me, what came first? You coming out of your mom's womb saying, I have the face, so I might as well, get the clothes and do the gig, or what?
The or what is I am him. Because what keeps me alive is I believe that there's a spirit of Ben Franklin in each and every one of us, and that's what keeps me alive.
And what is that spirit?
The spirit of patriotism, freedom, democracy, the country, you and I, and everyone around us in our country.
So tell me about the funny story. You're telling me before we roll the cameras how you got started performing. Could you tell us that story?
You really want to hear it? I actually got tricked into doing it. Oh. I had a friend of mine who said, did anybody ever tell you look like Ben Franklin? And I never heard that. I said, no, not at all. So he said I was going to this event, and he had this costume with him. And I said, you're not going to ask me to wear this, because yes, I am. He goes, please do it for me. 400 people. So I'm putting this costume on, and the hair, this is my real hair now. And I walk in there, and everyone's this jerk of a guy, he's calling me Ben, and then 400 people are calling me Ben. Pictures, Miss Pennsylvania was there. And after that, he said, I told you. And I said, okay, I'm done. A week later, the same bank called and says, we'd like to have your Ben do a ribbon cutting to our bank. And I said, you know what, I could do this.
So what has been the most fulfilling part to play such a significant man?
Well, the more I learned about Ben, he did everything for the common good. Not one thing was for himself. Not one invention, not one institution, nothing. The first hospital he started, the first lending library, the first volunteer fire department. This man was a giving man. And that is really an amazing thing. And I want to continue telling that to people, that he wasn't a philanderer or not, and he was there for everyone else, nothing for himself.
So this morning you got to speak to the high school kids here at Wareham High School. What was your key message?
Again, I mentioned that everything in my life was for the common good. It was for helping others. So we are all together, and also fighting for our freedom, democracy, just the non-selfishness of this man. And I make people think, well, people think they do inventions for themselves. No, he did not. Not one thing was for himself. Well, there was one thing, and that were these. He did not know he was inventing them, but he actually made them because he was tired of wearing 2 pairs of glasses, couldn't see near nor far. So he made these weird pair of glasses for one reason, so he can see what he was eating and who he was eating with at the same time. But everything else was and he never patented anything, never asked for money for anything.
So when you started doing your research, getting acquainted with this character, this man you're impersonating, tell me, you spoke about the findings, that how generous he was, but what are some other cool things that stuck up to you that you're like, oh, I didn't know that about him?
Good question. I didn't know he helped start the first hospital. That's one thing. And, we know he did the discovery, or not the discovery, but he discovered electricity, which helped him invent the lightning rod, and that also saved lives. That's what made him very popular, believe it or not. And I know I'm probably not answering your question, but just his generosity to the public is really what changed my thought about just him as a statesman or an inventor for himself, or trying to be rich by himself. Not many people know this, but he also is still giving today. In his will, he gave money to Boston and money to Philadelphia, not to be touched for 200 years. Did you know that?
No.
It grew to over $7 million. That money's still being used today for the common good. And he didn't even write about it, and no one knows about it. And I'm telling that story tonight. And if you look up on your Google or your device, you will see how much money it grew and what it was used for. In fact, I opened up 1,500 miles of postal routes to help speed up the delivery of the post. But I did not own a horse or a carriage. I had to hire a driver.
So tell me how this playing this character has changed your life, your personal life, or influenced your personal life.
It made me a better person, I must tell you that.
Okay.
It did. Because not only did I go in depth with Ben Franklin, I also went in depth the other rabbit holes, such as Washington and what his sacrifices were, and Adams. But then I want to talk about the founding mothers. Not many people talk about that. You got Abigail Adams. She was there helping, holding the farm down and taking care of the children while Adams was off in France and helping in Philadelphia. And then you have my wife, Deborah Reed, who was also a founding mother. You have Martha Washington. These are unsung heroes. They were heroes as well.
Well, thank you so much. So any funny stories today you're going to share as well?
I will say this. I know I'm known to have said, a penny saved is a penny earned, but if I was to say it today, I would have said a penny saved is a government oversight.
Thank you so much.